Ma'am, please start. Ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. We have gathered here for a very special occasion today. We have amidst us Mr. Rajarshi Banerji, one of the most renowned wildlife photographers of India. I now call upon Shaumadrita Sengupta of class 7E to introduce Mr. Banerji. Shaumadrita, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Samadrita Sengupta of class 7E. We have with us today Mr. Rajarshi Banerji, who is one of the best-known wildlife photographers of India. He has photographed wildlife for over 28 years in most parts of India, USA, South Africa, Botswana, Kenya, Tanzania, Norway, Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia, Alaska, and the Arctic Circle. By occupation, he is a chartered accountant qualified from the United Kingdom and an industrialist. Despite his demanding work schedule, Mr. Banerjee's enduring passion for photographing the wild drives him to make 7 to 8 trips a year to the field. His images have won numerous international awards and have been widely published in the print and digital media in India, USA, and Europe, including on the covers of the National Geographic Traveler, Sanctuary Asia, and countless other publications. He has been affiliated as a climate change researcher with Jadavpur University, Kolkata, and has presented highly applauded research papers on wildlife and climate change in USA, South Africa, and various other countries of Southeast Asia. Mr. Banerjee has been particularly passionate about tigers from his childhood days and has participated in tiger conservation efforts in several Indian states. He lives in Kolkata, India, when he is away from the wilderness and longs to get back to nature. We welcome you, sir, to our event today.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Now I hand over these proceedings to Mr. Banerjee. Mr. Banerjee, over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, teachers and students of Mahadevi Birla World Academy, Calcutta. It's a real pleasure presenting about my passion and about Mother Nature to you today. I thank the authorities of Mahadevi Birla World Academy for giving me the opportunity, which is very special to me because I'm interacting with students who are the future of conservation efforts worldwide. So we live in a beautiful wild world. I'm trying to change the screen. Let's see a video at the beginning as to what this all is about.
Some call me nature. Others call me Mother Nature. I've been here for over 4.5 billion years, 22,500 times longer than you. I don't really need people, but people need me. Yes, your future depends on me. When I thrive, you thrive. When I falter, you falter. Or worse. But I've been here for eons. I have fed species greater than you, and I have starved species greater than you. My oceans, my soil, my flowing streams, my forests, they all can take you or leave you. How you choose to live each day, whether you regard or disregard me, doesn't really matter to me. One way or the other. Your actions will determine your fate, not mine. I am nature. I will go on. I am prepared to evolve. Are you?
So that is the perspective. The nature doesn't need us, we need the nature. My mission statement is the world is big and I want to have a good look at it before it gets dark. So with that mission, I set out in the world to witness what's happening. And I came across unrivaled, unparalleled beauty, as well as tremendous threats to this beautiful world in which we today live. I will take you through images which will explain to you the fragile world that we live. This is a shot of Kaziranga National Park. You may have heard about the name Kaziranga National Park in Assam. It's located on Brahmaputra floodplains. Every year, Brahmaputra, the great river, floods this park, rejuvenates its soil, rejuvenates the nutrients, and allows a thriving ecosystem to remain sustainable. Forests are getting destroyed across the world every day. The fragile environment is getting affected. The whole ecosystem is at peril. A shot of Corbett National Park from the sky. There are small pockets where pristine forests still exist. This is one of them. This is prime tiger country. The Kosi River meanders through it. But all this are at risk. This is the ultimate scene you can come across in a forest, looking into the eyes of a tiger as it walks towards you. When you lock your eyes with this great predator, you feel fortunate, you feel honored, humbled in front of it. You feel honored because it has allowed you to witness its tremendous beauty. A tiger cooling off in a pool. And then you come across tender scenes like this. The very tender moments between a tiger mother and her cubs. She's such a fierce predator, the apex predator of the food chain, but with her cubs, she's as tender as a human mother, if not more. He has taken a bath and gone onto the rock to look at me. You can see the water dripping from his body onto the rock. These are small cats, kittens, which will eventually tip the scale at 500 pounds and become the great predator. An unusual pose. We know that leopards climb trees, tigers don't. However, there are occasions where tigers do climb trees, of course, not to a great height, but this is one of the rare moments to witness in the forest. Can the moderator please put everybody else on mute, please? Thank you. This is from Ramganga. This is from Corbett National Park. This is a scene on the banks of Ramganga. This is again one of the precious, pristine forest areas which are left in India still. I'm fortunate to be able to visit this special corner of nature almost every year for the last 25 years. A mating picture of Barasinga. Barasinga is the swamp deer, highly endangered. Barasinga mating couple in Kanha National Park, another very special place in my life, in my heart. The Barasinga actually digs up these grasses to make its head bigger, which makes the male more attractive to females. Another very, very cautious mother, the rhino mother in Kaziranga National Park. She charges without provocation, always cautious, always on the lookout for threats towards its tiny calf. A ground level perspective of a big rhino coming towards you. These are all big animals, but in front of the destruction which the humankind are inflicting upon their environment, on their habitat, all these animals are tremendously vulnerable at this day and age. Brahmaputra floods Kaziranga National Park every year. The rhinos have learned how to survive the flood waters, which usually stay for about a week, or maybe even less than a week sometimes. But when it comes, it floods everything. The rhinos do not have food, but they know how to survive the water. The forest department supports it by building embankments, animal shelters, where the rhinos and other animals took refuge together. Another scene of setting sun in Kaziranga. I'm repeating Kaziranga because it's one of the most fragile and most wonderful ecosystems habitats, which actually houses many large mammals like elephants, rhinos, tigers, leopards, wild buffaloes, and many others. I call Kaziranga an African national park in India. The visibility, the sighting of the animals is so wonderful and so sure. Yet it's a very fragile ecosystem affected by climate change, affected by intervention by foreign nations like China, who are building dams up the upstream Brahmaputra within their territory, which will eventually drain Brahmaputra of its supply of water, and this entire ecosystem will be at peril. Looking at beautiful nature in India encouraged me to step out of the country. I went to the Arctic Circle with National Geographic Explorer, where the early explorers visited an archipelago called Svalbard on the northwest of Norway, inside the Arctic Circle, which is the domain of the polar bear. And it's an extremely hostile environment where man has tried to conquer from time immemorial. However, he has not managed it to conquer, and man remains a mere visitor to the Svalbard archipelago. Aboard the National Geographic Explorer ship, you can see the floating ice, the float ice on the ocean, and icy mountains ahead of the ship. These mountains are homes to tens of thousands of birds. This is how we used to go to the shore from the main ship on rubber zodiacs to experience the weather, the environment, the beauty of Arctic Circle. Was an incredible experience and a lifetime experience. Then you see the polar bear in its environment. The climate change is causing irreparable damages to the Arctic ecosystem. The polar ice cover is melting. The polar bear is unable to hunt the seals, which is its staple food. As a result, it's having to swim tens of kilometers in search of food. And sometimes they're dying while swimming because they do not find ice cover on which they can take refuge. This is the permanent ice cover near the North Pole. This ice cover is melting every day. While we were there, big chunks, huge chunks, the size of 20-storied buildings were actually breaking away from the main ice cover caused by global warming. We call it carving of the glaciers. It was a horrifying sight. Icebergs are melting. Here is a polar bear who climbed an iceberg, but then he has come to a dead end. These are holes, holes in the ice cover through which Seals pop up and polar bears wait at the edge of these holes to catch the seal as it comes up to breathe air. These are walruses in the North Pole, and a flock of kittiwaks flied over the walruses. And I clicked right at that moment. It's an environment which is incredible beauty. Beauty is beyond description. But when you go there, you have this sinking feeling in your heart because you see in front of your eyes what irreparable, irreversible damage climate change and global warming is making to this environment, to this habitat. A small float ice on which a polar bear has taken refuge. Once it comes out of there, it has to swim to get to the next ice, which has to go on continuously. And eventually, it being a living being, its muscles tire and it drowns. At the time when I visited the Arctic Circle in Norway, we had almost 24-hour daylight. So this is the midnight sun, which we are seeing in this picture. We are going through the Bay of Longyearbyen, and photo is clicked at 3 o'clock at night. After seeing the polar bears in Norway, I felt an urge within myself to see grizzlies and polar bears in another beautiful but fragile environment of the world, which is the Arctic Circle of United States and the state of Alaska. So we had a long flight there from Calcutta to Taiwan, from Taiwan to Seattle, and from Seattle to Anchorage. From Anchorage in Alaska, we took a seaplane to fly to the islands of Alaska to see the grizzly. This is flying over Arctic Wildlife Refuge, vast areas with no human presence. And glacial lakes dominate the landscape. Here's a photo of a glacial lake. It's almost beyond the tree line. And you see how these lakes are formed. Finally, we reached a place called Katmai National Park. This is a glacial lake called Naknek Lake at the edge of Katmai National Park. This is the view from my cabin where I stayed. We stayed in a tiny wooden cabin. It's a part of a lodge, of course, but absolutely amidst wilderness, and grizzly bears would walk past your door every day and every night. Here's the American brown bear. Then we went to a place called Brooks Falls, where the salmon run takes place at a certain time of the year in many places in the world, most important of them being Alaska. The salmon actually runs into the inlets, sea inlets of Alaska to spawn there. Incidentally, these salmons take swimming trips around the world, but at the time of spawning, they come to the same place that they themselves were born. So millions and millions of salmons would swim into the inlets of Alaska and some other places in Canada, like British Columbia, some places on the northern Russia as well, to spawn. And it's a bonanza time for the grizzly bear because they hunt the salmon swimming in the flowing water. A cub playing with the waves of Naknek Lake. It's almost like a sea. Cubs playing on the bank of Naknek Lake. frolicking cubs. There's competition among bears to catch the salmon, and sometimes hijacking takes place as well. So this bear has caught a salmon in the water, and he's immediately running off from the water in order to prevent other bears from snatching the salmon from him. And then he sits in the water and gorges upon the salmon. From Alaska, we went to the northern coast of United States and then flew in a small plane to an island called Barter Island, which has been inhabited by Inupiat Eskimos for the last 1,000 years. That is the capital of polar bear. That's called the polar bear capital of the world, because polar bears swim to the island to get food. And why do they swim to this island? This I will explain to you in a subsequent image. This is the photo of a polar bear near Barter Island. The small establishment of around 400 people is called Kaktovik. This is near Kaktovik. A polar bear moving around in the morning in search of food. Here is a polar bear with a polar storm coming in the background. Here we have cubs, cuddly cubs with their mother. I was fortunate to witness this scene. This is not easily seen, but God was kind. You must go out, visit wild and wonderful places to understand the fragile balance on which the survivability of these habitats rest, and our survival as a human species is critically based on. This is the Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights in Kaktovik. In Kaktovik, we came across the Inupiat Indian community has been allowed by the United States government to hunt 4 bowhead whales every year. It's called subsistence killing. They use all parts of the whales for food, for cloth, for garment, for warming their homes, for light, etc. And then they dump the skeletons on an island. Polar bears know about this. So they swim 20, 30, 40, 50 kilometers to come to that island to scavenge on the remains of flesh attached to the huge whale skeletons which are dumped there by the Inupiat Indian community. Why are the polar bears swimming such a great distance? Because climate change and global warming has removed the sea cover, the float ice cover on the sea at their habitat. So they have no food. The seals do not come to the surface. And in order to survive, they have to swim vast distances to this particular island off the north coast of America within the Arctic Circle. From there, I ventured out to Africa. The peak, which you barely see in the background, is Mount Kilimanjaro. Mount Kilimanjaro is the highest peak in the entire continent of Africa. There's a very famous novel called Snows of Kilimanjaro. There was a great movie in our childhood made by the same name as well. The tragedy is global warming is melting the ice cover on the top of Kilimanjaro. Now, all these wonderful habitats of wildlife with thousands and thousands of elephants, lions, buffalo, cheetahs, leopards are all dependent on on water flowing down from the mountain. So if the ice cover goes, eventually the water coming down from the mountains will also go. And the sustainability of critical habitats in the African subcontinent, African continent, and the subcontinental area of Kenya will be endangered. You can already see there was a time when the entire peak of Kilimanjaro was covered with ice, but you can only see remnants of ice on the top. Elephants dwelling it out in the savannas of this particular national park called Amboseli, while Mount Kilimanjaro stands as a sentinel, as a referee in the background. These are the great savannas of East Africa in Kenya. This is Masai Mara National Park. Cheetahs get onto this small mounds to get a better view of prey at a distance. Moderator, somebody has made a mark on the screen. Can you remove that, please? Because the photos are getting affected by that.
Okay, ma'am, please disable annotation for all, ma'am, in the settings.
Okay, ma'am.
Sir, you have to stop and start sharing in order to remove this.
All right, let me do that. I'll stop sharing and start sharing again, okay?
I'm extremely sorry, sir.
No problem, thanks. Are we there? Can you see us? No.
No, sir, the screen is not visible.
Yeah. Can you see me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks. This is a migration of wildebeests and zebras on the savannas of East Africa. What do the wildebeests and zebras do? 2 million, that means 20 lakh wildebeests and 2 lakh zebras, 22 lakh animals go on a circuit of 15,000 kilometers every year, going from Kenya into eastern Tanzania, then to western Tanzania, and then back to Masai Mara in Kenya again. This 15,000 circuitous route is followed by 22 lakh animals every year because they are searching for food. Their food is grass. And where does grass grow? Where rain falls. So they're chasing rain, which gives rise to new life, new grass, in order to sustain themselves. Now, as you can understand, with change in global weather patterns, in rainfall patterns, if this rainfall gets affected due to global warming, which it already is getting affected, what will be the fate of 22 lakh animals? This is the great migration in Kenya. As they migrate, lions watch them. And leopards. This is in Serengeti. This shot was taken. I was unbelievably lucky to get 3 leopards at one time on a tree. You can see the great savannas of Serengeti plains at the bottom in that green strip. So people see 1 leopard on a tree. People are very lucky to see 2 leopards on a tree. But I was incredibly lucky to see 3 leopards on a tree. So leopards are also on the watch out for the migrating herds of wildebeests. Here is a rare photo of cheetah climbing on a tree. Cheetahs normally do not climb trees. All this is done by the predators to get a better view of distant prey or prey which is coming towards them. And finally, they catch the prey. Here is a photo of an antelope which is still alive. It was still moving when I took this shot, and the cheetah chased and caught it. You can see the look of the predator in the cheetah's eyes and the helplessness in the antelope. It's still alive, mind you. The predators don't kill for pleasure. Humans are the only race who kill for pleasure. Predators kill to eat, to survive, and to make their young ones survive. If this lioness doesn't hunt and eat, it will not have milk, and its cubs wouldn't be able to suckle. Cubs suckling. It is important as a wildlife photographer and a conservationist to see the world from above and from below as well. You get different perspectives. You get to see things which you would not have seen had you remained on the ground only. I went on a balloon over Masai Mara. This ostrich has laid its eggs. If you are at ground level, the eggs are inside a small hole, inside an indentation. If you're on ground, you wouldn't be able to see the eggs at all. It's only because we flew in a balloon over the ostrich, we could see the eggs. And you can see how the ostrich mother is alert to guard its eggs from predators and scavengers. Egrets around the hippo in Mara River. The Mara River flows through Masai Mara and feeds the Masai Mara. Then it's important to get down as well. So this is a close-up view triggered remotely by a remote trigger from a camera which has been placed on a long stick very close to this cheetah. Don't miss the second cheetah which is lying in the background. There were 2 cheetahs there and we were on foot. Water holes play a very important role in forests because water is the life for animals, both the predators and the prey. The big cats, the large animals like elephants, the smallest animal has to come to the water hole to drink water, to sustain themselves. If the global weather pattern changes, water holes will dry up faster than they do now, which is going to cause a plethora of species to perish. A view at twilight of rhinos drinking at the water hole. You can see the bluish black sky in the background, the precious blue hour which we get before the sun sets completely. The sun is already set before darkness sets in completely. And at night also, if you're patient and if you're quiet, antelopes would come under starry skies to drink at the water hole. I call this picture Starry, Starry Nights and dedicate it to my favorite painter, Vincent van Gogh. And of course, the predators are also watching. They're at prowl at night. I was fortunate to come across a pride of lions at night. It was just me and my driver, and he was driving and at times flashing the spotlights. This was in a private reserve in Africa where you're allowed to use spotlights on a limited basis at night. So we were keeping within the rules and photographing. This is at 2 o'clock at night. They killed an ostrich in front of me and then devoured the ostrich collectively. They're going after the ostrich. They're watching. Now they've caught the ostrich. Can you see the ostrich? I'm sure you can. They've caught the ostrich. Ostrich is a big, formidable bird. It's not easy to bring it down. The lioness is bringing the ostrich down. And one lioness wasn't enough. So they required 2 lionesses to bring the ostrich down. Lions hunting ostrich is an incredibly rare sight, and that too at night. So God was kind to me again. You can see the other lioness is now joining the hunt because the first lioness, despite her best efforts, is not being able to bring the ostrich down. Finally, they brought it down and had a gala meal. And we had a gala time photograph with them. This is the cycle of nature. One should never intervene to rescue the prey, because without killing the prey, the predator will not survive. Its young ones would not survive. After the lioness did all the hard work to bring the ostrich down, they were forced away from the kill by the king, who arrived to have what we call the lion's share. A black-maned lion on ostrich kill. This is another one coming towards my car through the grass. 2:30 at night inside the African bush. Next morning when we went there, it was complete peace and quiet everywhere, as if nothing had happened during the night. And the lion, the king, was resting. We come back to the tiger, my favorite animal. Tigers love water because they need to cool themselves. Even at the height of winter, we sometimes find tigers going into the water and resting in pools. Of course, they do it more frequently during the summer. Mother and cub in water, Ranthambore National Park, another precious, small Eden of wildlife which India has managed to retain. All of you should, you must visit these national parks because these are our great heritage that has been handed down to us by our ancestors. And our future generations should enjoy them and should strive to protect them. This is a reflection of a water. You can see the floating leaves in the picture. Reflection of the tiger in water. This is not the tiger itself. As a photographer, when you go to wild locations, different scenes give rise to ideas, concepts in your mind as to how to photograph that particular scene better in a more artistic way. This is the shadow of the tiger in the flowing river in Madhya Pradesh. It's incredibly difficult to ignore the tiger and to photograph its shadow when a tiger is coming towards you or walking past you, not to take the photo of the tiger itself, but instead to photograph the shadow requires a lot of self-control and discipline in the photographer. But I was hell-bent, I was keen to photograph the shadow of the tiger in water. A shadow which is all pervasive. It's everywhere in the forest. The tiger watches you 100 times before you can see it even once. This is how it prowls at night. This is how a tiger family visits a waterhole at night. You have to be patient, quiet, and technology savvy. Love nature, love the adventure, and love the denizens of nature. Reflections, tiger cubs near water. These are apparently cuddly kittens, but in no time, they will grow into the fiercest predator in the world. Small tiger cubs, on their first trip outside the den, you can see the den behind the cubs. That's where they were born, and that's where they grew to this little size in 2 weeks. And now, for the first time, they have come out with their mother. These fragile animals will not survive unless human beings as a race becomes conscious to save their environment and to save them. And if tigers die, we die. Why do we die if tigers die? Because in India, 300 rivers have their origins inside tiger parks. If the tiger dies, the ungulate, the deer population of all these national parks and forests will explode. The deer and the antelopes will eat out the roots of the trees. There will be landslides into the streams which bring water to the rivers which originate from there. So rivers will be devoid of water supply. Rivers will change their courses. Eventually, the agricultural food security of India is bound to get affected. This is why tigers and protection of tigers is so critically important for India to grow into a superpower. Tiger cubs being carried by their brave mother by mouth. See, it's such a fierce animal with such big canine teeth, but the way it holds the cub, it doesn't affect the cub at all. Here we call a water inspector. I call this picture a water inspector. The tiger has actually come to check the tank where the forest department pumps and keeps water and pumps the water into the water hole nearby. The tiger knows that the tank contains water, so the tiger has come to check whether the tank is full or not. So only if we strive as a generation, and only if all of you strive as a group, the future generation, to protect this wonderful heritage, natural heritage which India and the world has got. Only if you as a future generation fight against climate change and global warming, do your small bit, form small groups, work in a small way, a few or many small things eventually adds up to a great movement. Then only our natural heritage will survive, and we will survive as a human race. And then only we will hear this wonderful, wonderful roar of the tiger in the forest. This is Sundarban National Park in West Bengal. He's looking for his mate. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I think all of us are absolutely spellbound with the pictures and with the amazing photography. And I think the students have really learned that how much of patience one needs to have to be a wildlife photographer, and to really capture these moments which are so precious and which are just kept in our memories and in our casket of memories forever. And I think we all thoroughly enjoyed this session, from the first photograph that you showed till the end. And the fact that the children have to also understand that in order to have a sustainable world today, we have to, we as our the citizens of the future, we have to protect these animals, and we have to protect them for everyone, for their species as well as for ours. And some people often say that, we go to Sundarbans, but we don't usually get to see a tiger. So in fact, so sometimes I feel that it's okay. It's better that the tiger doesn't come out, and the tiger stays secured and happy in his own place.
Sure.
So
sure.
Thank you so much, sir. That was really, really interesting. I would request Shaumadrita to kindly end the session today. Thank you.
Shall we take a couple of questions from the students if they have any?
Sure.
So Shaumadrita, would you allow us to take just 2 questions from the students?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So whoever has a question, please ask.
So we have Ihan Arafat who has raised his hand. Ihan, if you could unmute yourself, please. Yeah.
Yes, sir, if you had the opportunity to photograph any prehistoric life, so what would be your reaction?
Prehistoric life which doesn't exist.
Yes.
So if something which does not exist, how can I photograph it?
Due to some scientific technology, maybe humans can bring back such animals. For example, research has been going on to bring back woolly mammoths because they have found a couple of DNA samples.
Yes.
So there has been research going on to bring them back. So if you get a chance to photograph such creatures,
I would give away the whole of my right arm and whole of my right leg if I'm given that opportunity to photograph a prehistoric mammal. Only the left hand I have to retain because I have to press the camera shutter. Am I with you?
Excellent.
It would be an incredible opportunity.
We have
Next
Rajanna
question,
Chakraborty.
Rajanna Chakraborty. Rajanna Chakraborty is the daughter of my niece.
Yes, sir.
So very nice to meet you in this forum. May I have your question, please?
So I have a question.
Can you speak a little loudly? I can't hear you.
So when a mother tiger or a mother lion holds a child in the neck, does it hurt because they have a really sharp teeth?
Yes, correct. Very good question. It does not hurt because you see what they do is that they have 4 big canines, 2 on the upper fang, 2 on the lower fang. What they do, they actually place the cub behind the 4 fangs. So there's a gap in their mouth behind the main canines where the cub's neck or the back of the neck is placed so that the cub does not feel anything at all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? We can take one more, maybe.
We have Bhaskar Kedia.
Yes,
Good
Bhaskar.
afternoon. Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. So first of all, thank you for such a lovely session.
Good afternoon.
Sir, and I don't have a question. I just want to say a few words, sir. First of all, sir, I can see that you have captured all the minute details in every picture, like the wet rock where the tiger is sitting. Beautiful, capturing the ecosystem, animals, rising sun, ice cover. So the pictures that captures the effects of global warming that touches my heart the most. It teaches us to be more responsible towards our Mother Earth. So thank you so much for your precious time and this lovely session, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
I would hope and expect that at least 1 or 2 of you would start loving nature more, start understand the damage which we as humans are inflicting upon nature, and do your little bit to save the nature, save the forests, and visit the forests to understand and appreciate its beauty. Thank you.
Absolutely, sir. We have one last question, if we can please take from Atma.
Yes, sure. Atmajyoti.
Yes, sir. So, as you said, you have gone to many places like Europe, North America, and India. So, out of all these places, which one is your favorite? Like, where you have gone?
There is no favorite place, Atmajyoti, because the world is so big and so beautiful. Even after so many trips, I still have at least 100 trips on my list to see the wild and wonderful corners of the world. The ecosystems, the habitats are so varied, so beautiful, so different that when you visit these places, it is impossible for you to differentiate or to categorize one from the other. Each place has its own beauty. Of course, if you ask me which animal I'm partial towards, that I can answer you. From my childhood, from the age of 10, I've been very partial towards tigers. I love tigers, and I still at this age love photographing new tigers every year. So I'm partial towards tigers, but which place is favorite is a very difficult question, impossible to answer, because the world is a wild, wonderful, and big place, and your generation and you should go out and see the different parts of the world, which is so beautiful. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Vasundhara?
Shamadrita, if you may please wrap up the session now.
All good things come to an end with the anticipation that it will happen again. While we end our program, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our respected principal, Ma'am Shaha, and Vice Principal, Ma'am Ghosh, for giving us this opportunity to conduct the program online. I thank our esteemed guest for his expertise and for giving us time from his busy schedule. I'd also like to thank the teachers and the audience for being with us today. Last but not the least, our sincere gratitude to the technical team for their unhindered technical support. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you very much, Samadrita. In the end, I would like to thank you for conducting this session so efficiently. So thanks to Mahadavi Birla World Academy, the entire team, and to you as well. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure sharing the little bit I know on this forum. Thanks.